I'm doing a lot of Facebook Lives, and it's almost as if I'm catching up on the missing time that I haven't been doing them.
Right, sure.
Facebook
Yeah,
Live has been around for a while, right?
for
So,
sure.
yeah.
Hmm.
And as we're getting people to join us, where are you located, by the way? You're in
In
California,
the
right?
in the Bay Area of California.
Okay, cool. I used to
Yeah,
think that from San Diego to anywhere else is just a walk, but apparently you have to
right,
fly.
right. Oh yeah, oh yeah. For us, it's like if you drive, it's about 7 hours, and it's a little over an hour flight to San
Yeah.
Diego. Hmm.
Let me find this post and actually pin it so people can see and participate. All right. Pin post. I always forget to do that, and then I'm wondering why don't we have any people watching. So here we go. Now it's a pinned post, and hopefully we get, there we go. People are showing up. So welcome again. You responded to my call, so to speak, for an interesting topic to do a Facebook Live around. And I'm so glad that you did, because I know you have a lot of unique, out of the box ideas on marketing, on business in general. But this particularly connected for me because I do see you as a thought leader, as an innovator, as an ordinary thinker, a bit of like a business philosopher. So I want to see what you see. I'm very curious. What is it that you see in this evolved marketplace, as you called it, Jim? And
Okay.
so while you're thinking, I do want to say how I know you. I can't remember how. Oh, so we met briefly at a live event, and then what ended up happening is I discovered that you design webinars, and you help people actually write webinar scripts and come up with the whole concept of a winning webinar. And so you and I worked together on webinars, on launch videos. And I remember when I hired you to do those video scripts, suddenly I felt like a ton of weight lifted off my shoulders. I think I shared that with you. And I could concentrate on my launch as opposed to worrying about what to say in those videos and webinars. So that was kind of how you and I met. And as we progressed our work together, what I started seeing is that you have some really unique ways of seeing things, expressing things, like really in a way that other people don't see. And I'm always attracted to that. So I'm excited to talk to you about marketing today. So what is an evolved marketplace? What did you mean by that?
Okay. So for me, like when I think about an evolved marketplace, I think of it like over, like when we compare to 5 years ago, 10 years ago, something like that, looking at where most markets are compared to several years ago. Like there's so much information on any topic that you have, so many different perspectives, so many ideas that and we have also within each of us, the way that we interact with the world. We have all of these blocking technologies. Like for me, I don't watch live TV anymore almost at all. If anything that I want to watch, I record it so then I can skip through the commercials. And so we're in this different world where we have access to infinite information and much bigger control over what messages we receive or don't receive than ever in the history of the world.
So we are in control, and that's kind of like part of an evolved marketplace. There's also something else you said, is that we receive too many messages. And what happens is it's difficult to know what to believe, so we end up not believing the messages we do receive, right? So can you address that? What do you mean by the fact that we get too many messages that we don't believe?
Right. Well, okay. So part of this evolution of marketplaces, the marketing has had to offer bigger and bigger promises and so with almost any market, as the promises evolve, they get to the point where they're too big, that nobody believes them anymore. Like, oh, just do this one thing and the rest of your life is going to be different forever. Just all of these things. It reminds me of like on Napoleon Dynamite. I don't know if you've ever watched that movie.
I did. My son was into it a little bit.
Okay, and so Pedro, when he's running for student body president, he basically says, "Vote for me, and all your wildest dreams will come true." That's so much of what we see in marketing. Like, do this, and all your wildest dreams will come through. Is kind of some version of that is almost always going on.
Nancy says, "Hi, Nancy. Special kiss for you." Nancy says, "The control of what we choose to pay attention to is so important." Yes. And I love what you said about promises getting bigger and bigger, too big to believe. And yet that's kind of so I'm going to say that. I don't know if necessarily I believe that, but that's kind of what we need to do in order to sell. Right? Like, we need to make a big, important promise or people won't buy. So where do you find that balance between being realistic and being in integrity and promising an exciting outcome that people will be excited about? Where's the balance?
Right. Okay. So, so to me, there are a couple of things. One is what we're realistically capable of delivering. Because, I mean, people aren't going to buy if they don't feel like they're going to get some sort of a benefit, some sort of a result. But then being able to express that in a way that really feels realistic to people and taps into the most important force in marketing. So there's the thing that makes marketing work is not what most people think about. The thing that makes marketing work is not the words, it's not the promise, it is the desire that lives inside of the heart, the mind, the soul of the potential client. That's where the power of marketing is. So we think that because we're in control of the words that we put on the paper and all of those things that we have the power. No, the power is in the desire. And so marketing, the way I view marketing is its job is to help awaken that desire that's already in there, to validate the desire that's in there, to help people see a pathway to get the things that they already want, that people have told them they can't have, that they feel like they're dreaming too big. Everybody has experience of somebody in their lives that have told them they shouldn't want what they want, they can't have what they want. And so we've all been conditioned to shut down these desires that could lead us to what we want.
I like that. I just pointed out what you said. Goal of marketing is to help awaken the desire inside. In other words, people already have a certain desire and goal and something that, and so it's already inside of them. Our goal is to awaken it, not necessarily to plant something new. Is that what, can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, so people already, they want what they want, and that there are all of these ways that they've shut them down. So almost all of us, I know a bit about your story as well, almost all of us have been teased for something. And to protect ourselves from that bullying or being teased, we became our own internal police officer of, okay, well, I'm not going to do that thing again because that gets me rejected on the outside. So then, it's just, and we've all had all of these experiences through the course of our lifetime where we've shut down desires to fit in, to make other people happy, to keep ourselves safe because we asked too many times for something and had a parent spank us or yell at us or something. So we learned all of these different ways. We've learned it's not safe to be ourselves and want what we want.
And then suddenly someone says, yes, you can.
Right.
right? And that kind
And
of awakens their awareness
right,
of that
right.
desire. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so if we look at marketing from this perspective, that our job is to help people regain that permission within themselves for what they already want, to be okay with themselves, all of that, then we're doing them a service whether they buy from us or not. Like, they're like, if we help them be okay with themselves and be okay with what they want, we've done people a great service just in that.
Yeah, and I love Bill's question. Hi, Bill. Good to see you here. Is it better to over deliver versus over promise? I'm going to say absolutely yes. The question I bet people are asking is, you should never over promise, but your promise should be big enough that people want to buy. And what I see a lot, especially in the coach, author, speaker market, like the softer market, the healer market, is people are afraid to make any promises, right? Well, I can't promise that you're going to make this much money. I can't promise that you're going to lose weight. I can't promise that your relationship is going to be better. How the heck do you sell then if you can't make those promises, right?
Right. Yeah. And that it's okay if there are some things we say that we can't promise, but you have to have a powerful promise. But I guarantee you will have this. There's got to be something and some energy behind it. And I have a quick answer for William's question as well, because so I recently bought this program as a $2,000 program, and it was based on some big promises that were delivered in an amazing way. So I bought the program, and we're like 2 or 3 weeks into it right now. And he's fulfilling on those promises and doing the other thing that William asked about, of over delivering. So he's got these awesome unadvertised bonuses. One was just released this week of how to really understand your marketing identity for yourself. Like, who is the person that you really are going to be in your marketing? Like, this great training just on that one thing that wasn't promised as part of the program. And so yeah, I agree with what you said, Milana. A strong, healthy promise, not over promising. And then, yeah, how do we find ways to over deliver as well?
And then over deliver, delight people with something that maybe they didn't expect, but it's come to mind to you while you were delivering, that's something that could be useful to people. Yeah. One of the things you said to me, Jim, was that what people believe about you is more important than the claims that you make about yourself. And so I'm thinking all these people who, including myself, who are saying, I've built $1 million business. I have, I'm thinking the things that I said about myself. I sent my kids to college and I paid for them in full, so they have no college debt. I've been able to take care of my grandmother when she needed a home care nurse. I bought this house. We built this house, which I would never be able to do on a smaller income. And my mother, by the way, always felt concerned, like, why do you share so much with people? And I would say to her, Mom, if I don't share, then people won't believe me that I can teach them how to grow a money-making business. So, but you're saying what we say about ourselves is less important than what people believe about us. Can you elaborate on that, Jim?
Yeah. So let's just use some of those stories for example.
Yeah.
So then I draw the conclusion from those stories. Oh, Milana takes care of people that she cares about. She doesn't have to tell me that. She's demonstrated it. And see, so people are drawing these conclusions about us, about who we are, how we treat people. Like, back to the same program that I just bought recently, was this guy did some amazing live coaching with people that the focus was completely on them, and he made them the star of that particular thing instead of, oh, hey, here's a chance for me to show off. And so it's like, So it's like, wow, okay, he cares about people getting results more than putting the spotlight on himself. So all of these things, like these conclusions that we don't even realize that we're drawing about people all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's reveal the number one missing ingredient that we promised to reveal. It's the number one ingredient that stops people from hiring you or from buying from you. So I'd love for you to reveal it right now, and then we can talk about it.
Okay, so from my perspective, the number one missing ingredient is a lack of feeling understood and valued. That so quite often, so I just did this quick little Facebook post this morning of quite often our marketing is this thing where we are looking to validate ourselves, to prove ourselves, to get all of this love and appreciation for what we've done. We're doing it unconsciously, but we're marketing to try to get approval and love instead of marketing to give approval and love and understanding to those people that we're reaching out to. And so as a human need, we all need to feel understood. We need to feel valued. But Stephen Covey, one of my favorite authors of all times, one of his principles is seek first to understand, then to be understood. The problem is we do that wrong. We think that we understand what other people want, what they're thinking. And so, all right, good. I understand you now. Understand me. This is what I can do. This is what I think. This is how impressive I am. All of that stuff. But the thing that we're really seeking is for that person to feel understood and valued, acknowledged. And that's what the biggest missing ingredient is that we're trying to pull attention to ourselves instead of give it to the marketplace.
And would you say, Jim, that this is true about sales as well as the marketing things that we do? Like I'm picturing myself delivering a webinar, and if I want to demonstrate that I understand my audience and that I value them, it does apply to these kind of marketing strategies as well as a one-on-one conversation. True?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And for me, yeah, in my conversations with people, I'm completely clear that when somebody hires me to do work for them, it's because they feel I understand and can explain their work and what they're doing better than they can themselves. And so if they have that feeling like, whoa, Jim gets me, he knows even how to say it, I wish I would have said that about myself, then I know, all right, good, we're on the right track here.
That's the secret right there. That's how you always make me feel when I talk to you, like, he gets me. He's going to create an awesome webinar for me. Like, even before you did that, I already knew that because you came from a place of understanding. It makes me think of the doctor and patient relationship. When you go to a doctor's office, how do you know it's a good doctor before he or she treated you? It's by the level of understanding they show. And if they can understand you even better than you understand yourself, and they say things like, so you feel this way and that way, and you feel like, yes, wow, you're a really great doctor. Whether it's true or not, you just suddenly felt understood, right? That's how it feels, I think.
Yeah, and in the case of like who we refer, we don't refer like a doctor on, oh yeah, he gave me the best pills the fastest. No, like he really took time and I felt like he understood what was going on. You should talk to him. He's going to at least spend time with you, or, that sort of thing.
So is that the key to having people trust us more and easier in this evolved marketplace, is making sure that we express understanding of their situation? Is that kind of what creates trust and therefore improves our marketing and messages?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think that that is a massive part of it. And in that private message that I sent you, like there are kind of four areas that I look at that I think people really need to feel about us, to trust us. So the first one is like, I have to feel you care about me and you value me. And so like, a good example would be like right now of like the kind of thing that I'm thinking here is like my dad, I know cares about me, values me, wants the best for me. He has no idea what I do or how I do it or yeah, what is all this computer stuff and what do you mean? And so he has no understanding of that, but he just cares about me as a person. And so we need to first we have to care about our people that we serve as people before they're even going to feel it. But then we help them believe that by being of service. We let them draw that conclusion on their own because of the actions we take, because of the other people that we serve. And like I said, even with your story about taking care of the people that you care about, it even shows, okay, Milana's a caring person. Whereas I see this person just wants to show me his car or just wants to do this or just wants to do that. So that is even part of the process. Okay. Then the second piece was the one that you're talking about right now is that I really feel understood. Like if you can describe my situation and problem better than I can myself, then I'm like, okay, this is somebody who gets it. Then the third one is then you know where I'm really going because like, so this is back to even the promises of like thinking that everybody wants a 7-figure business or all of this money or all of these things. Not necessarily. People want different things. And if we're not aligned to what they really want and describing it in the way that resonates with them, you're going to be like, okay, this person's going somewhere different than me. And then the fourth one is the one where we often start is if we have a better, faster, easier, cheaper way of helping people get to what it is that they want to get, that's where we want to start so often, but they're not ready for that because they don't trust us because of the other pieces yet. So it's kind of this balance of really helping them understand that we're really there for them, we get them, we're in service of them, then they want to know, okay, how can we do it?
And I just put that on a screen. I kind of covered your face a little bit. Sorry about that, Jim.
Right.
But I want to read that. Okay. So the 4 steps that you were talking about to developing trust and eventually getting people to buy into what you're selling before they actually purchase it from you is you care about me and what I want. You understand me and what I'm dealing with. You know where I'm going and why, and you can get me there faster, easier, and cheaper. And I actually posted that under this video. So if you guys want to go back to it and look at it, you can. So, I mean, this is really cool. And this is more like on a conceptual level, and this is great. But what can we do specifically right now in our marketing? You know, as somebody who peddles simplicity, and I know you're a big fan of simplicity, what is maybe the one thing that people can do right now, maybe this week, to apply what you just taught?
Yeah, okay. So what I think one of the most important things that we can do is tell a story that connects with emotions that people feel themselves. So like I wrote one really quick here. It took me just like a couple minutes because it's just a couple sentences. So it's like my story of myself is like, so my parents divorced when I was 5 years old, and my mom moved 2,143 miles away to Anchorage, Alaska. We were in California. She took my sister with her. So here I am. I used to have a mom and a sister. Now I'm raised by a single father. And he had a very violent temper, and I never knew what was going to set him off. And so then I just always had to be wary of like, okay, what's he thinking? What's he feeling? What's going on here? Just kind of as just out of self-protection. And then on the weekends, I spent a bunch of time, hours on end, sitting in the pickup outside the bar while he was in the bar drinking with his friends. And so I felt unloved, rejected, unwanted, except for when I spent summers with my grandmother. With my grandmother was the only time that I felt free to be a kid, free to be myself, and loved for who I really am. And so just that story right there, that there's so much related to how we all have different feelings of rejection. We have different ways that we've even developed our skills. Because of that need to be hyper vigilant with my dad is how I developed over the years this way of understanding people, because it used to be a survival tool as a kid just to keep myself out of trouble. Now it's become this thing. And so just like there are these common emotions that we share, and the more that we can allow people into the emotions that we feel that are the same type of emotions that they feel, the more we start building a connection.
Thank you so much for sharing, first of all, your personal story. I was not aware of that, so I appreciate your opportunity to learn a little bit more about your life. And Steve asked a question that I literally had in my head as you started telling your story, because a few days ago you were watching, probably, right? David DiGiorgio's interview on Facebook Live with me, where he was saying that there's an epidemic of advice that comes about telling your deepest, darkest, most vulnerable story, and people are just sick and tired of hearing that. And what we resolved, what we came to in that conversation with David, is that yes, you can tell your story, but number one, keep it shorter, which is you did brilliantly. Number two, stop telling your darkest, most vulnerable secrets unless they directly connect to a purpose, whatever it is you're trying to then accomplish. So in this context, how do you see storytelling? Like, when would you tell this story in marketing context?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in this one, and it's related to even digging into this, was part of a process with Jeffrey Van Dyke. He really digs into your core wound is the service that you bring to the world. Because of what you experienced, you develop superpowers, gifts, and you bring that to the world. And so that is the relationship here of okay, this is part of what made me who I am. And so it is part of setting the stage for the understanding piece, and really okay, how did I get here? Why do I even draw this conclusion? Why do I look at the world and say, okay, yeah, you need to understand people more? And so then I have all of these experiences. In the corporate world, I would be in these meetings and two people would be talking. They think they know what the other person's talking about. Neither one of them knew what the other person was talking about. And I was always, okay, he's trying to say this and that person's trying to say this. You guys get it? Now you're talking about different things. And so this was part of this tuning into what people are really saying that I developed. And the more that I help people do that in their marketing, the more I see they get better results. So that's kind of the relationship.
So I'm almost hearing this as there is a strategic way to build your story into your talk or into your marketing, and connect it to your message and what you're going to tell next. What I'm hearing from you, though, is a little bit different. Tell me if I'm wrong. What I'm hearing is that you recommend telling your story not necessarily as a strategy, but as a way of creating rapport and letting people see that you understand them and where they're coming from. or is it both?
Yeah, I say both. Both. Yeah. Yeah. I was definitely leading with that part of the emotional connection. But yeah, it's you don't want to only have an emotional connection and not take it somewhere. It's like, okay, great, we have this emotional connection, and then where does it go from there? So yeah, both the strategy and the connection.
So thank you so much for sharing. There's a lot of food for thought. So do tell your story, but do it with two important things in mind. It needs to connect to your message and to what you're going to be offering at some point. And you're telling it because you want people to see that you understand them, so that to create that connection too. So it's both.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And just a thought there is that I personally don't think it's a good idea to talk about things where we don't have some good emotional grip on that thing. It doesn't mean that maybe, I mean, we could tell a story that we cry during the story, but it's not so raw that it just takes us to this very unstable place, because once again, more than the words that we say, it's the conclusions people draw. And so if people draw the conclusion like, all right, great, she's very vulnerable and transparent, but she's totally unglued, and why would I want to work with that person if so it's like, really, there's the understanding like where we are emotionally and having some good closure and resolution within ourselves about it. Because yeah, if I was extremely bitter or just like, if it took me to an unstable place to tell you what I just said, then that wouldn't be good. I would have no credibility then.
Awesome. I'm really tempted to ask you one more question before we wrap up. So what is the biggest trend in marketing right now? I mean, we are in 2017, thousands and thousands of programs and information products have been sold online. New people show up all the time. And sometimes I wake up and I think, what's happening in this world? How do you stand out? How do you get seen and heard? How do you reach your ideal clients? And it can get really frustrating, especially when you're first starting out. And I am starting out again. I'm restarting out, right? So I suddenly see marketing and the marketplace in our industry and all this noise online as this big, giant cloud of stuff that sometimes I don't even know what to do with that. And that's overwhelming. And if I'm overwhelmed, I can only imagine how somebody may be feeling overwhelmed if they don't have 16 years of entrepreneurial experience behind them. So what say you?
Yeah. Well, just to give I just watched a 4-part documentary that validated something that I really have been believing for quite some time. It is The Defiant Ones on HBO. And it's about the story of Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre and how they've come together, how they sold Beats headphones for $3.2 million to Apple, but it's like 30, 40 years of story. And the key thing that stood out to me with that, and that I see in marketing that works, is we have to be willing to take a stand for something. And almost always a stand for means a stand against as well. So really being clear on, all right, what do I really stand for? And to stand for something, it always has to have some sort of boundaries and some limitations to it. Otherwise, it just bleeds into this very generic sounding thing. And so I think the fear of excluding people is like one of the biggest things that is a problem that causes us to not get our messages across, because to have and demonstrate that deep understanding, we're going to have a bunch of people who don't get it whatsoever, don't care, and we have to be okay with that part.
Yeah, and it's a great place to come from. When I came to you for help with developing my simplicity concept, which you were a big part of that, I came to you for webinar help. But what I didn't tell you is that it wasn't just a webinar development project. It was essentially an idea development. Here I have this idea that I feel and I see in my heart, but I don't know how to communicate it. Help me. And so you basically said that you're taking stand for simplicity, that you don't have to build big complex businesses in order to be successful, that a simple business will grow faster than a complex one, that a business needs to be simple to each individual that is building it, so simplicity is individualized. So I love that, because it made me feel like, wow, I really don't need to listen to all the gurus who are telling me to build a big team, build a big, great funnel, or 10 funnels, as somebody was suggesting, to have 10 funnels that just completely I don't want to do that. I don't think I want to do that. And for some people, it's fine because they are into this kind of analytical style. So that's simplicity to them, right? So I totally remember and appreciate you saying take a stand for simplicity for people who don't want a big, complex business.
Right. And so implicit in that is that you're saying you're validating people for what they want. By taking that stand, you're saying you're okay for wanting what you want, which is simplicity. Hey, there's nothing wrong with wanting that. And there's so many people who other people are trying to enforce their values on them. Like, no, you should want this, you should want that. What, you don't believe in yourself enough, you don't want it enough, you're not playing a big enough game, or all of these different ways that people try to manipulate. Whereas taking a stand is validating a lot of people, and it's like the people who don't feel validated and attracted to that, great. They have a different desire. So it's back to that marketing force that we're looking to tap into, is that desire that's already in there, and that people are saying no to themselves. We want to help them say yes to what they already want, but they've shut down.
Oh, I'm getting tingles. So a lot of the things that I see out there in personal development and business advice is everybody's trying to fix you, right? Yeah. Everybody's trying to tell you, you don't want this, you want to change this. And what you're saying from the marketing perspective and from developing trust and rapport with people before they're ready to purchase from you is you need to validate people for what they want. And there's nothing, you're not broken.
Right.
You want what you want, and it's okay. And I can help you get there faster. I love that. Yeah. Jim, where people can find out more about you?
I mean, the easiest place is just connect with me on Facebook for sure. I have a poorly updated website at enlightenedprofits.com. I don't spend too much time keeping it up to date or anything like that. But usually I'm spouting off on Facebook about something here and there.
I'm going to show this website just so that people can kind of keep that, because you have enlightened us, and I really appreciate you being here. We're going to keep it a little shorter than I usually do. So last question, why do people record videos and Facebook Lives while driving their car, and would you ever do that yourself?
No, I would not do that. I don't understand why people do that, because once again, So it's about the conclusions that people draw, and we get to be more aware of the conclusions that people are drawing more than the things we're trying to convince them of. And so you and I both have a lot of conclusions about how that seems very dangerous. It seems crazy. Like nothing is that important. Like if it's important enough to put on Facebook Live, then it's important enough to pull over somewhere and park and shoot your video.
I agree. And I'm also thinking that people sometimes start their live video in the car and then they arrive and they show this huge mansion that they live in. So that gives them an opportunity to make a big claim. And that's exactly what we are talking about today, not to do, but to demonstrate why people should trust you on the personality level. So I think that's really cool. Thank you so much for being here. I hope a lot of people listen to this because there's a lot of golden nuggets. Nancy says, what a humble brags about people's luxury items. Let's see. My biggest luxury item, I always say, is my piano, which is right behind me, and my 2 puppies, who are 8 years old at this point. But I like to show them off. One day I'll just literally pick one up and show them on the Facebook Live. But this was absolutely enlightening. Thank you so much, Jim. If you watch this and you have any other takeaways, guys, please post them below the video. I would love for you to comment on what you just heard, what you took away from this conversation, because I sort of got validated more so because I've worked with you a little bit longer. And so I've heard a lot of those things that you said before, and I'm very fortunate to have that already planted in my mind the way you think. So I appreciate you sharing your thinking with us today, Jim. Thank you so much again. And we're going to wrap it up, guys. Thanks, everybody. Nancy,
okay, thanks so much.
Bill, thank you guys for all your comments. And anyone else who's watching, please comment about your biggest takeaway. Bye, everybody.
Bye.